الله تعالى نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ومن يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Indeed, all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek refuge with Allah from the evil in our soul and from our sinful deeds. Those who are guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can misguide them. Those who are not guided by Allah, there is no guide for them. I bear witness that there is no deity, there is no God worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and messenger. O you who believe, revere Allah as He should be revered, and die not except as Muslims. Amma ba'd. I know there are few here, but we're going to go ahead and get started because our organization likes to do things on time. That's precedent. And the Prophet Muhammad said, why did you say you do a thing and not do it? So I don't want the messengers going back to agenda saying that he doesn't keep his agreements with the students. So we're going to start. I want everybody to take a picture of the board. I want everybody to come to the potlucks that can. The thing is that if you call me and I'm on the road because I've had a stroke, that means that Narana and I pick up the food, and you do not want me on I-4 on the phone because I can't drive with this hand and I can't talk with this hand, and I don't have automatic steering yet. So please, we beg you, we beseech you, we implore you to know that this is where the potluck is. It is the same time. It is every Friday night during the month of Ramadan at St. Luke's. It's really difficult for us trying to pick the food, pay for the food, and drive with people calling us and saying, when is it, where is it? It's right here every single Sunday. It's up here on the board, so please remember, it's St. Luke's. It's 6 miles that way on Apopkabina, and that's the address. We are still collecting non-perishable items. If you could remember to come to class with a can of food or a bag of beans, we donate it to local food shelters. We used to get about a crate of food a week. When I say a crate, like a milk crate. And lately, I don't know if I'm not promoting it enough or what, but we're just not getting food. Unbroken cell phones. If you have a cell phone, we don't need all the wires and all that stuff. We just need the cell phone itself, not broken. Empty ink toner and toner cartridges, we turn those into Staples, and it actually pays for a large portion of our office supply. Yes?
I think this masjid should support the iftar to the people in your...
Well, we have had lots of donations, alhamdulillah, for iftar, and we've got it covered. I think that's a wonderful thought, but if you want to bring that up to them, you can.
I see that in my video.
Okay. And then coupons help us defray the cost of paper goods and things like that. So if you find coupons for napkins, paper goods, things like that, that's what we use the coupons for, purchasing food for various things. If you are not getting group invites, please call me soon and get on it. But everybody, please remember and tell everybody to share the news, where it is, when it is, and what time it is. There's so much going on today, with today being Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of you who are fathers. We're going to talk a little bit about that and then move into Ramadan. I felt that the spirit of our iftar on Friday night was just beautiful. Reminding people of the intention to have the ruh in what you say and do. I've had numerous people tell me how good they felt about that iftar, how they felt it was a spiritual iftar, and that there was less buzz, there was less sort of running, and there was, the energy was on the spirituality. I've had 3 people tell me that, actually 4. My wife is one of these very brilliant people that only needs to be told something once or twice, and she gets it. But people like me need a lot of repetition. And other people have said that, yes, they need the repetition too. So you can count on it. If it gets too much, the more feedback I get, the more I will try to adjust. But I just wanted to tell all of you that it was so amazing to me. It was a very, very special iftar. I really felt the spiritualness of that iftar. How many that were there? If you were there, raise your hand. Okay, so you see how many people were there. If you felt what I felt, raise your hand. Yeah, it was just phenomenal.
I tried to go there, but I could not arrange.
I'm sorry, if anybody lives in this area and can pick my mommy up, because we pick up the food, she lives right here. Is that okay if I say where you live? Right across the street from the masjid. Please get her phone number, if you will. Anybody can give her a ride. We want her to be with us. It's just very hard for us getting the food, particularly in our this season when we have rain and we're trying to drive at the same time. So we've got Faye's volunteered to pick up mommy, so that's good.
She will pick me up, inshallah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, before I get started today, we have a box which is not out today, usually is, that you can put questions in. And a question was put up there, we as men can marry Christian and Jewish women, but Allah says we can't have Christians and Jews as friends. Can you explain? The word that we're talking about is wali. Wali. It says don't take the Jews and Christians as your wali. Wali is like protector. It's like an intimate friend. It's not just like an acquaintance. Because it says in the Surah An-Nisa to be good to the neighbors who are near and far. So we are to be good to our neighbors, and the scholars of Islam say this word neighbor means fellow man, Muslim and non-Muslim. So we are good to people, but our intimate friends we take as believers. And part of this is that if you show me a man's friend, most of the time I can tell you about the man. In other words, if I hang out with people that, whoever I hang out, I usually do what they do, right? Because we have things in common.
Yes.
So, this is really, I don't know who asked that question, but I wanted to answer it. This is really, really important, understanding that this is what this means. The word in Arabic is wali, and wali is intimate friend or protector. So, for example, a woman has a wali who is her guardian, who's looking after her best interest when she's getting married. So think of it as that. Because this is for you in your faith, this is the trustworthy person. This is the person that you can trust to look after your inner dimension in the best way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Because, I mean, we're the only religion that doesn't proselytize. So think about it like this way as well. If I become intimately friendly with another religion, what are they going to want to do to me? They're going to want to convert me. We don't do that. It's actually, the Quran says there's no compulsion in religion. So we don't proselytize. If people want to come, we invite them to learn about the religion, but we never tell somebody, unless you're an ignorant person, you're going to go to hell if you don't become a Muslim, because we don't have that authority. That's just not true. So I hope I answered the question. If I didn't, put the question back in the box. Mason, do we have the box? I'll get with you just a minute, Mom. All right.
I pulled it out over there.
So if I didn't answer it, just let me know and I'll add to it. But I do try to answer questions that are in that box. If you put a question in there and it doesn't get answered, please let me know. Yes, Mommy.
Yeah, it says in the Quran, meaning that hang out with the pious people.
That's right. And if you want to attain taqwa, that is the best people to hang out with, is people that have attained taqwa. If you're a Muslim and you want to be a mu'min, then who do you want to hang out with?
Yeah.
Mu'min. You know, I can tell you that for me, and let me explain the difference. If I say something you don't know what it means, please raise your hand and I'll clarify for you. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, a Muslim is one in whom you are safe from his tongue and hand. So a Muslim should be the safest person in the world. But a mu'min, who is a mu'min, in front of it, implies the real doer of this verb. So the mu'min is the real believer. So it takes you from the person who's done the motto, the shahada, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, to the person that really has taqwa. We have many words to describe levels of being a Muslim. Okay? But a mutaqi is the one, for example, that has taqwa. And that's the whole purpose of this month, is to attain taqwa, to attain nearness to Allah, to attain a consciousness of Allah. Now, let me ask you this. For those of you who have been married, if you are not thinking about your significant other, do you feel near them at that time? No. But when you are really close, now my wife and I are together for 30 years, and it's actually hard for us to be apart. Sometimes I find it hard to get my work done because if she is, even though my office is on one side and the house is on the other side, I find it very difficult if she's around that I don't want to just be sitting up under her. And the same way. And matter of fact, last night we laughed because she said, I'll come and help you do your work. Which we know I can't get any work done if she's sitting there. So, but this is wanting to have nearness to Allah. Think of it in terms of like that. If you really love Allah, there are many, many words, but that's the difference between a Muslim and a mu'min. The mu'min, you can entrust your life and property. So, what I want you to look at, and I wasn't even thinking I was going to touch on this today, but the reason that the Muslim world is in the shape that it's in today, where Muslims are killing Muslims, is because they don't have taqwa. They have not achieved the goals of the month of Ramadan. This is the reason that our ummah, that our family, our Muslim family is in the shape that it's in. Because we have not attained taqwa. Anything, not just ISIS, but just any of the conflicts in any of the countries is because we have not obtained taqwa. Because it says clearly in the Quran that if you take a life, it's like taking the life of all mankind. That is anywhere from 7 to 9 billion people, according to who you talk to. But even if you look at 7 billion people, you can't be a mutaqi, you can't be a pious person and take the life of a person. And it says in the Quran, if you take the life of a Muslim, you will earn hellfire. And it's just straight out. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Yes, brother.
Wasn't that the goal of the Catholics, is to destroy the Ummah and the Khalifa?
The goal of the who?
The disbelievers.
It's not the goal of all the disbelievers, but regardless.
But the ones who were in charge of this chaos that's going on the planet now.
Well, I don't want to get off the subject today, but the chaos that's going on in the world today, for example, if you look at ISIS, these are people that have been displaced. They want a flag. They want recognition. They're not recognized by the United States of America. They're not recognized by the UN, so they're nobody. Everybody wants recognition. But nothing in this world that happens, whether you want to put it on the disbelievers or whatever, on the day of judgment, if I'm a Muslim, I'm not going to be able to say, oh Allah, these disbelievers tried to shut my religion down, and so I killed my Muslim brother. It's just not going to fly. So, that I wanted to touch on in terms of this and in terms of, obtaining taqwa. I will come back to that, inshallah, when I get to that lecture. What I want to start on today is I want to talk a little bit about fatherhood in Islam. Because it is a Father's Day, and I think that we owe it to address what fatherhood in Islam. And the first thing I want to say is that what I see projected in the predominant Muslim community is that many fathers are ignorant of their roles. And therefore, you will hear them talk about, this is my right. Well, what I see in the Quran, it is more about our responsibility to Allah than it is about what my rights are. And unfortunately, what I hear a lot is when they start talking about their rights, they don't know their rights. And they certainly don't know the rights of those that they are supposed to shepherd. And just let me touch on this for a moment. For example, in Islam, a woman does not have to cook. She does not have to clean. She does not have to do any of that. This can all be in a contract, but this is Sharia. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ cooked. He actually mended his own clothing. But we have fallen into a patriarchal custom whereby we believe that women are to be our servants. And we have developed something called gender inequality, where we believe that men should go and work from 9 to 5 in some cases, come home, put their foot up on a stool and say, "Excuse me, dear, could I have some cup of tea?" The woman in today's world goes and works a 9 to 5 job, comes home, and then starts another job, washing dishes, washing clothes, taking care of children, and in many cases, she's got a second job. There's a great book that I have many of my couples in my therapy as a marriage and family therapist read by Arlie Rothschild, I think that's right, called The Second Shift. And it's about gender inequality. There was no gender inequality at the time of the Tabi'in and the Tabi'in. The first 3 generations of Islam, they transformed themselves. As a matter of fact, when the wives of the Prophet spoke to him, if he was speaking to men, he turned to them and they had his first ear. And the Quran says to reverence the womb that bore us. So I want to talk about the fathers. I don't want to get into more about that, but I just want to say that this role that we have is really an honor. It's an honorable, noble role of valor. It is a role that we, inshallah, with iman, embrace with gratitude. So I want to start off by looking at this hadith. Take care. Each of you is a shepherd, and each of you shall be asked concerning his flock. A leader is a shepherd of his people, and he shall be asked concerning his flock. And a man is a shepherd of the people in his house, and he shall be asked concerning his flock. And a woman is a shepherd of the house of her husband and over their children, and she shall be asked concerning them. Now, the word in Arabic for responsible is mas'ul. And the word also means that about which one will be asked. So the same way that on the day of judgment we will be asked about our salah, our prayers, on the day of judgment we will be asked about how we were the shepherds to our family. So let me ask, is there anyone in this room that has ever met a shepherd? Okay. Let me ask you, let's talk about a few of the traits of the shepherds that you met. Anything you want to tell me. It doesn't have to be one word. Just tell me what you know about shepherds.
They're leaders.
They're leaders, okay.
They understand their flock.
They have great patience. That's right. Oh, that's key.
They're teachers.
Understand. I'm going to put understanding. What actually Brother Bassam said is they understand their flock. So, I'm sorry. Who said that? Deborah, thank you. So they're understanding. And let me touch on that while more things are being thrown out. I knew a shepherd in South Africa who had sheepdogs that helped with the farming of his herd. And this man could stand on his porch, and about the distance of the masjid was where all of the sheep were. And he could tell me about every sheep, the personality of every sheep. And he had sheepdogs that he could direct. And they would herd the shepherds, and they worked for him. It was amazing. It was just... What did I say? The shepherds? They would herd the sheep. Thank you. What else do we know about shepherds? Oh, yes.
The shepherd would be a great protector.
Protector.
He would be instantly accountable of his flock.
Someone's a teacher too.
What else?
Technology has reached the shepherds. They have radios now.
They have
They
radios.
talk to the dogs.
So he's a good communicator.
Communicator.
If you think of anything else, tell me as we're going. All of these providers, yes, because he provides food for them and protection. I'm writing so hard, my pen's jumping.
Shaitan did it.
No, he's chained up right now. That would be needed.
No.
So,
I was told Shaitan did your head.
okay, so look at all these things. Is this about rights or about responsibility? It's about responsibility. And the honor to do this is realized and materialized and manifest in the lives of every single prophet. Every single prophet of Allah was a shepherd. So if you think of that in some context, being a father, not only are you the shepherd, but you're the imam of your household. Now, what does Surah An-Nisa, and I think it's verse 34, says that believers conduct their affairs by mutual consultation. So they are also conflict regulators. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that too. In a flock of dogs, whenever you put the food out, have you ever seen a dog arr? Because it doesn't want that dog to have as much food as this dog has. And the shepherd will go and take his cane and separate those two so they both get to eat. So the shepherd is a conflict regulator, a referee. This is a gift that is granted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet Abraham thanked Allah when in his old age, and according to various scholars, between 86 and 100 years of age, Allah granted him Ismail and Isaac. Granted him son. Zachariah asked Allah for a child and rejoiced when he was given one. Fatherhood begins at the time of conception, not at birth. For example, when we start talking about zakat, which we will cover before the month of Ramadan, because this is the greatest month for you to give in, and every year we try to raise $6,000 or $7,000 to help the poor in our community, and we're able to help oftentimes. Mostly what we've been able to do is to help women who are having difficulties because of domestic violence or other situations like that. So when we pay zakat, we pay on an unborn child. This is part of the fiqh of Islam. So once you find out you are pregnant in the month of Ramadan, when you go to pay your zakat, you pay it on the unborn child. Yes, and this is a requirement. It is obligatory. So in other words, Bassem has 4 children. If Tina were pregnant and he found out, then he would pay on 5. So that shepherdhood, that fatherhood begins as soon as you find out the sperm hit the egg. Yeah. And what do you begin to do? You begin to prepare.
Worry.
You begin to step it up. You know, I will tell you, for me, whenever we had our first child, I had come back from South Africa earning in the top 5% of the country. I started over in LA in 1987 with $1,200. And about as soon as we got started, we had our first child. I got there in 86 with $1,200. And in December of 87, we had our first child.
You guys in West Side?
We didn't have a television. And we really didn't. I mean, I'm not kidding. We didn't have television. The point I'm making is that I wanted Naran's mother to be here for the birth of our first child. So I worked 3 jobs to achieve that. And the reason I'm sharing this is that part of being a shepherd is not only being a shepherd to the children, but the most important person that you are a garment to as a father is your wife. The Quran says, revere the wombs that bore you. Well, who are the wombs that bear us? Our mother and our wives. And when we talk about reverence, look at the reverence that shepherds give to their animals. They will risk their life for their animals. They will stay up all night when one of their animals is injured, or if there might be a wolf out there trying to devour their prey, trying to devour one of the members of their herd. They will vigilantly stay awake to guard their sheep. The same way that a vigilant mother and father stays away when children become teenagers, they stay awake, waiting for their children to come home to see what condition they'll be in, to see if a wolf came along and tried to devour them. And wolves in the modern day come in the form of drugs and alcohol and the opposite sex, and sometimes nowadays the same sex, who wants to satisfy their desire with your sheep.
I have curfew for my son after 12 o'clock.
You have curfew, and mashallah, alhamdulillah. Well, we're having more and more difficulty keeping those because other people don't, so it makes it harder for us to do that. Now, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam played with his children. If you notice shepherds, they actually will stroke their animals. They give their animals a lot of attention. If one of the sheep can't hear, they will trim the wool around their ear so that that one can hear better. If the one sheep doesn't eat, then they'll draw that one to themselves and put their head in the food. Maybe that one doesn't have a good sense of smell. And sometimes we as youth, this we can't blame on the amygdala, we just have to call it the odor, what's it called, the nose system? Olfactory, yes. System isn't working, and they don't realize that somebody they might be hanging out with school has body odor. And I don't necessarily mean physical body odor, but spiritual body odor. You with me?
Yes.
And so we have to lovingly appeal to them that I'm supposed to protect you from the fire of hell. And it's tough because remember, they don't have the ability to process what we're saying to them. They don't have a frontal lobe. It's not developed yet. They have it, but it's not developed. So we're talking to them and they're saying, what is this shepherd talking about? What on earth are they talking about? They don't know what they're talking about. I got my friends. They my homies. But we had homies before, many of us. And we know the roads that those homies can take us down. So he played with his children, he hugged them, and he kissed them. What is very, very sad for me is that I have met many Muslims that have said to me, I have never been kissed by my father. Even in the Quran and in the Ahadith, when the Sahaba once asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how can I heal the harshness of my heart? He told him, fast, extend your prayers, and kiss the head of an orphan. These are the three things that we're told to do. And for me, I can tell you that I have a 27-year-old, a 26-year-old, and a 25-year-old daughter, and that this 24, sorry, they can come and sit in my lap. Now, I got bony knees, so I can feel it more than I used to could. But you know what? I love it. I love for them to come and say, Dad, I want to sit in your lap. And I believe I deem by law that they knew that no matter what they did, if I didn't approve of it, I still loved them. And they could come to me and I would not explode. I would not react. As a matter of fact, now as I get older, I wonder if I should have reacted a little bit. But I didn't. I didn't think it was appropriate. I didn't think it was what my beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would do, so I didn't do it. I would sit down and talk to them. How did you feel about what you did? Do you think it helped you? You know? Are you going to do it again? And sometimes they would lie and say no, and of course they did. And you still were there as a shepherd. You didn't say, well, you're not my animal anymore. You were still there. Children climbed on his back while he prayed, and he was patient. Today, when children make a little noise in the masjid, people say, take the children out. If you can't take care of your children, leave them at home. What is that saying?
So welcome.
Does that make you love the masjid? You can't be yourself? You can't express yourself? I noticed some uncomfortable people at the iftar on Friday night. And I said, we were them one time. The children are fine. If I as a teacher can teach over children, then you as a student can deal with it. Because I want to tell you that it's much more difficult to teach when children are making noise than it is to be a student. The Prophet was a model and example for his children. Ibrahim, working with his son Ismail, joined together to build the Kaaba in Mecca. So what is the message in this? That as a shepherd, as a father, we want to be building a community. We want to involve our children in the masjid or some kind of Islamic activities. And I recognize that today, I will share with you that I've lost 5 students in the last year because I encouraged them to involve their children in the masjid. But we have to still try to build masajids that teach diversity and that teach love. So I've lost 5 students in the last year because of the way their children were treated in the masjid. We've got to do something about that, shepherds. We've got to step up when we see racism, when we see oppression of children. We have to step up and address it, and believe me, I have. Sometimes when people see me coming, and they know why I'm coming, they're not happy. And I can tell they're not looking forward to seeing me. Because I have to tell them, by the way, we just lost a young Muslim or a young Muslima because of the way they were treated at the masjid. Do you think they'll ever come back? No. And on the Day of Judgment, do you think that's going to be about a right or about a responsibility? I think it's going to be about a responsibility. When the prophet's father died before his birth, his grandfather provided that role. When grandfather died, his uncle played the role. In Islam, it is a collective faith. We have fard kifaya. There are one or two people in the community that do certain things, and the whole community gets the credit. But we in our faith are collective in our approach. It's not like I and me. Islam is us. It's ummah. It's community oriented. I want for my brother what I want for myself. Not I just want what I want for me, and that's all I'm worried about, me. In Islam, where there is no father, society steps in and plays that role. That is why in ahadith, to take in an orphan, one is guaranteed paradise. And I have to say, that must be one of the most amazing things, and I know people that have taken in orphans. It must be amazing. It must be for the young people, because the older you get, I think the harder that would be. Yes, brother.
Well, it's like that question about what you just mentioned, where there is no father, society steps in. And during the Prophet's time, they had all of these wars. A lot of men died, and the women with their families were left behind with no husbands. One of the rationale that I read, I was told by instructors, was